Consciousness is the highest, and the nervous system is the physical, a completely physical aspect of your body, of your being. When we work with consciousness, opening consciousness, a lot of focus is placed and emphasized on opening consciousness, on having experiences, on various energetic sensations and feelings, so that one can progress forward, so that one can open, awaken, and progress forward. Or we could say, come back closer to one's own true nature. So there is the process of opening of consciousness. The second process that takes place is that your energy system starts to adjust to the new level of consciousness. And the third process that takes place is called integration. Stabilization, integration. Stabilization, integration is exactly where your nervous system is. It plays a key role in stabilization of the new higher vibrations, frequencies, energies, and integrating into your physical temple, into your physical body. Your nervous system is composed of your brain, your spine, and your nerves stretching throughout the whole rest of the body. The brain and the spine is the central nervous system. Meaning it performs the most central functions. And then it stretches into every organ, throughout all the muscles, all the way to your fingers and toes. Your nervous system is that which processes electrical impulses, electrical signals, and these signals and impulses are traveling through the nerves, The nerves are composed of neurons and cells. So a single neuron can make up to 15,000 connections. A single neuron in your brain can make up to 15,000 connections. It's a vast, vast network of neuron pathways. It's as vast as we could say the whole universe. Everything is connected. And to a deeper extent, that is true, that what is within, it is above. The micro and macro cosm. So within your brain, there are neuron pathways, and unfortunately, due to the past experiences, traumas especially, these neuron pathways have been blocked. These neuron pathways have been disconnected from the healthy other pathways and have been separated and blocked. And this is why there's a saying that a human person uses only 10% of their brain. Or we know even more precisely that an average human person utilizes only 4% of the full consciousness capacity. So that is due to conditioning, due to traumas, and due to the blockage of the nervous system. I will tell you one thing, that if your nervous system was completely unblocked, if your nervous system was completely open, unblocked, and everything would flow in harmony, you would be fully realized and enlightened already. It is simple as that. If your nervous system is completely unblocked, if the electricity and light flows absolutely everywhere, that is called enlightenment. Enlightenment. Bringing the light into your inner self, bringing the light into every neuron pathway. And that which has been damaged is restored, and that which has been hidden is revealed. So bringing light into your nervous system is actually enlightenment. Enlightenment, it is not about experiences. Please understand. It is not about experiences. Even if you have one huge experience, that is only experience. It doesn't mean that that state which was experienced is sustainable in your system, in your normal, what is called normal experience, in your normal way of being. So enlightenment is not about experiences. It is about opening full consciousness and allowing that full consciousness to flow through your whole energy system, all your chakras, your spine, and your whole nervous system. So enlightenment is about ability to sustain higher consciousness. Ability to sustain higher consciousness. Not only to realize that you are consciousness, but being able to sustain that kind of realization. For the average human person, or even more advanced spiritual practitioner or student, one can very easily realize awareness and consciousness. It can be easily realized with a simple 5-minute practice, that awareness is already here, that you are already aware, that you're aware of the whole environment, you're aware of yourself, you're aware of your experience, you're aware of being here. That is a very simple recognition. But to stay as that awareness, that is where enlightenment comes in. To stay as that awareness, to stay as the light of consciousness. And what is the key to be able to sustain it? It is your nervous system, because that increases the voltage, that your nervous system is able to sustain that higher voltage, frequency, vibration, and realization of your deepest self. So your nervous system is key number one in ability to sustain high consciousness, enlightenment, self-realization. Some of the problems of the nervous system is, as we discussed, the biggest ever problems are traumas, because they literally block the nervous system and prevent any kind of energy to flow through it, So thus it is buried, these experiences are buried into unconsciousness or subconsciousness. The most biggest traumatic experiences are buried even into the unconsciousness. They're not even kept in the subconsciousness. The difficult but not extremely difficult experiences are kept in the subconsciousness. And then it is brought into the conscious mind, into the conscious consciousness. In a normal day-to-day life, it is very, very common that the average human people have a huge nervous strains, a very big nervous depletion, a nerve exhaustion. So in the average human life, because of lack of practices, because of lack of strengthening the nervous system is actually depleting for the average human person. As one grows older and grows older, the nervous system keeps on depleting, keeps on blocking, keeps on crudifying. So that is unfortunately the case. So nervous strain can be experienced through various kinds of stresses, various kinds of tensions, and inabilities to process and deal with situations and circumstances. Nerve depletion happens due to lack of exercises which support the nervous system. Nerve exhaustion happens of too much, even physical exercises. For example, the athletes can totally exhaust their physical bodies and damage their nervous systems. And of course, it is known as well that various drugs also, and I mean various psycho drugs, they actually damage the nervous system. Because a person usually does not have a capacity to handle these kind of experiences. So they take some drugs, they experience something beyond their capacity, and their nervous system collapses. Or it blocks itself, or simply gets damaged in one way or another. So drugs can be also very, very dangerous for the nervous system. Every one of you has what we can call the nerve capital. The nerve capital is being utilized every single day. From the moment when you wake up, there's a certain force that opens your eyelids. There is a certain force that jumpstarts your conscious mind when you wake up. There is a certain force that moves your muscles. There is a certain force that moves the fingers. How are the fingers moved? You say you think of it, but actually it is not by thinking that your hands are moving. It is by the nerve force that the instruction from the brain goes through the nerves into a specific muscle and instructs that muscle to move. And that is called the nerve force. The nerve force is like electricity. It is a combination actually of electricity, light, and life force energy. So the nerve force, it is that which flows through your nervous system and that which makes your body, your muscles, your muscles move. Your nerve force is actually composed, we could say, of two qualities. One which is physical, to move your physical muscles, and even to give instructions to your organs to function properly, to support your organs with the vital life force energy. And actually, Chinese did a really good job at mapping out the meridians of the human body. It looks very much like a microchip with so many channels and so many central channels. And for example, your solar plexus is one of the major channel where many nerves are meeting together. And so these are the channels, like in the microchip, where the nerve force is traveling, where electricity is transmitted, where signals are passing through your nervous system to give instructions for certain actions to happen. The other kind of nerve force is mental nerve force. That is your mental capacity. And this is why people very obviously commonly experience stress and strain and confusion and worrying, anxieties, various kinds of incapabilities, frustrations, resistances, stresses, tensions. All of these results are of the cause of the nervous system disbalance. As I said, if your nervous system was completely unblocked, every neural pathway opened, you would be already enlightened, fully realized. It would be impossible not to be enlightened. So the nerve force has two key qualities. One is to control your physical body, and the other one is to instruct your mind. Your mind. Not your consciousness, your mind. So your mind, your thoughts, most of your thoughts are actually repetitive thoughts. They're just playing on a loop. And most of your thoughts are trying to simply say that something is wrong inside you. Something is wrong in your nervous system. So 95% of all thoughts are like that. Only a few percent of your thoughts are actually intuitive or telepathic, received from either your deeper self or telepathically received from others. Only a few percent, unless, of course, one dedicates and develops their abilities to either connect with oneself deeply or to telepathically connect with others. It's a two-way thing, either with yourself deeper, or to connect with others, telepathically, energetically, we could say. So every one of you has a nerve capital. Every morning you wake up, your nerve capital is charged to the extent that you're able to charge it. And every evening it's depleted and you're exhausted and you're tired and you go to sleep. So that is the nerve capital which is being utilized every single day. And everything uses the nerve capital. Even your blinking of your eyes use the nerve capital. Moving your lips, speaking, even listening uses the nerve capital, because the sound waves hit your ears, and through your ears they're being transmitted, translated into your brain, those sound frequencies, to make some sort of sense of these all kinds of tonalities to which you are listening right now. So the nerve capital is utilized for every single sense, for every single action. Even your thoughts are using nerve capital, and then you say, I'm going crazy. My mind can't handle anymore. Your nerves get on fire. You know, so even your thoughts are using your nerve capital. So how do we increase the nerve capital? And how do we increase and reopen and unblock the nervous system? That is where meditation comes in, but specific kinds of meditations, because there are many kinds of meditations. So that's where specific kinds of meditations come in. That's where specific breathing exercises come in, and specific physical exercises come in, and even the right nutrition is important. Also, rest is important, and also giving some time to be in the nature, in the natural energies to replenish your body nervous system. So there are many factors. You know, the most common one, if you go to a psychiatrist, they would say, oh, just go for a walk, you will feel better. You know, then if you go to a holistic doctor, they will prescribe you some remedies and some supplements to increase your nervous system capacity. And then when you come to a teacher for consciousness work and including your nervous system work, then we give instructions to do specific breathing exercises, specific physical exercises, specific meditations, and even we advise about super nutritional supplements that help to boost your nervous system capacity. There is one more thing that I forgot to mention, that is called transmissions. And that is where a teacher on a higher level of consciousness and vibration who has ability to do that can transmit a higher voltage energy into another person's energy system, and thus allow, with a certain adjustment of voltage, the other person's nervous system to start energizing, to start unblocking, to start reopening. So that is the most advanced way of increasing the nervous system, and that comes directly with consciousness transmissions, nervous system transmissions. They come very much hand in hand. I forgot to mention another thing, that there is also now available, it's still hard to find, but there are some devices available which emit certain electrical impulses which allow your nervous system to reactivate and heal. It's mainly for the healing purpose. So now you can recognize that there are quite many things that you can do about it. And as I said, if your nervous system is completely, absolutely open, there is no way you could not be enlightened. That is amazing. And it's not about experiences. Experience comes and goes, comes and goes. It's about ability to sustain that experience. And that's where your nervous system comes in. So you can close your eyes. And slow down. Take a few moments to slow down. To feel your breath. To slow down your mind. To slow down your energy. To slow down everything inside you. you can visualize that through your spine there is electricity flowing up and down through your spine. Feel that there is a little bit more space in your spine. There is electricity flowing through your spine and your brain. A white, light blue energy, electrical energy. Recharging your nervous system with the white, light blue electrical energy flowing through your brain, up and down through your spine. You can even visualize an electric tornado, a vortex of electric, white, blue light, an electric tornado. And take a few moments to expand, to soften and expand. Okay, very well. You can slowly start coming back. Slowly start returning. This is a very good practice to activate and strengthen your nervous system, as well as to go deeper, deeper within your nervous system.
Yeah, thank you for the meditation. Yeah, I was able to feel more into the nervous system, and I feel very peaceful now. And one question is, you mentioned the psychoactive drugs that can damage the nervous system. What about like other drugs, like alcohol, nicotine? Is it, and what else could be bad for the nervous system?
Oh, yes, that's also a good point. Well, half of the things, or nearly 80%, 70% of the things in a normal food shop. Yes.
Because they are there's like bad stuff in it, like heavy metals, or why is that? Or
Yes, exactly. Because alcohol, extremely small amounts of alcohol can be fine, but anything more than one glass of wine or any kind of beer or any other kind of alcohol it starts to affect the nervous system. It starts to affect the nervous system so that actually it starts, the energy starts dropping. The energy starts dropping. And they have various substances in alcohol that lower consciousness, that lower vibration. So most of them are actually consciousness and vibration lowering drinks. Of course, sugar, all the fizzy drinks and then all the Coca-Colas and Sprite and so forth, they're full of sugar. That is also damaging the physical body and nervous system. Of course, tobacco, nicotine is not good. And in terms of normal foods, that yes, they're highly processed. They are lacking life force energy. So they're lacking the life force energy, the pranic energy, because they are processed and processed and processed. In addition to that, they have heavy metals. In addition to that, they have all kinds of pesticides and toxins. So actually, a lot of foods are not healthy unless they are organic, or if you do detoxes, if you take supplements to detox your body, then it flushes them out, the toxins. So in that way, if you actually do certain practice and take certain supplements, you can counterbalance the pesticides and metals in the normal food stores. So you don't need to freak out as well that I can't eat anything anymore. Yes, you can, but do some exercises, take some supplements to detox, and then it's fine. Then you can eat maybe half of the food store. Maybe what's half in it. So of course meats, all the meats and pork and beef, and I already forgot the names of them. Of course, all these kind of meats are consciousness lowering, vibration lowering. Why? Because you spend much more energy digesting them than at the end you actually receive life force energy. So you're actually wasting energy by eating meat. You're losing energy by eating meat. It takes more energy from you to digest it than actually gain something good out of it. So that's a good question. Thanks for asking. And yeah, so yes, you can eat things. Yes, you can even drink a bit of alcohol, but in a very extreme moderations. Yes, you can have a little bit of chocolate or sweets, but not too much. In a small amounts of moderations, everything can be processed quite easily by the body. But as soon as you overconsume, or if you eat over processed foods, you're actually gaining very little of life force energy. So thinking in terms of life force energy, you can very easily go to the food store and think about it. Does this food have life force energy in it or not? And you can even do a bit of kinesiology test to test, does it have life force energy or not? Or is it healthy to your body or not? So even your body will respond to that. So life force energy is the primal food to your body, to your system. And other kinds of, then they would say, how about iron and protein? Well, many vegetables have that. And if you take some supplemental powders and things like this, then they have full of protein and iron and other kinds of essential vitamins and minerals. So a vegetarian diet with certain supplements can fully support your body, your physical body, and it will fully support higher consciousness and a healthy nervous system. So that's very important. At birth, the nervous system doesn't have much capacity as such.
Mm-hmm.
As the body grows, the nervous system grows.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we know that in about 3 months' time, the conditioning comes in, the blockages come in, the mental structures start forming, so the nervous system starts actually blocking to a certain extent. And by the age of 5, a child is already completely pre-programmed for the rest of life if they don't do any changes.
Mm-hmm.
By the age of 5, the child is absolutely pre-programmed unless they will do actual deprogrammings and meditations and practices to reverse the inflicted programming from society, parents, and from the whole environment.
Mm-hmm.
So the age from the birth till 5 years old, it's where the future is created.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the future is created.
Okay.
And the nervous system grows uh, all the way up until 20s. All the way up until 20s, it's still growing and forming.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, with meditative practices and so forth, then you can increase the capacity and deprogram and heal the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
However, the biggest challenges are traumas,
Mm-hmm.
because traumas are so challenging.
Mm-hmm.
They go so deep that they can absolutely shape the personality and all kinds of actions coming out of a person, all kinds of patterns, that continue repeating. Even if one has a childhood trauma and they say, oh, my teenagehood was fine, but then as they start growing into adulthood, they will see that certain things are limiting them and certain patterns are acted out. So they trace back all the way to childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So childhood is extremely important period. A certain experience happens, either trauma or even through drugs or a certain shocking life experience when it happens. The nervous system, if it is weak, it doesn't know how to handle it. It doesn't know how to deal with that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then what it does, it blocks itself to prevent further damage.
Mm-hmm.
So the nervous system blocks itself because of not knowing how to handle a certain situation or experience to prevent deeper damage.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in the worst case, the person would fall unconscious. That's the complete power off button. So this is how the nervous system is a system. It is a system. It is a self-regulating system, but in a normal, I try to avoid that word normal. In a healthy way, if it's actually deconditioned in a healthy way, the nervous system can regulate itself very well, including immunity system, including regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
But for the average human person, there is already a huge stockpile and backlog of conditioning, and they're glitching constantly, the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So it does take time to work through them, and nervous system takes years.
Mm-hmm.
That takes years. But it's possible. It's possible and doable, and the rest of your life is lived in a beautiful, harmonious, peaceful, loving, enlightened way. So that work pays off because you're no longer repeating patterns, conditionings. So then it pays off because you start living an empowered life, a fulfilling life, with a tremendous growth and excitement and aliveness, beauty and intelligence. So there are many movies as well where they showed that there's a certain magical pill and it boosts you up and so forth. Yes, there are, but once the boosting finishes, once the drug finishes, then the person returns to their normal so-called nervous system. And they still need to condition. So this is very common with the psychedelic drug, because when a person takes them, they experience something which is of altered perception. But when the drug effect finishes, the person is back to their nervous system where it was. And if they took too much, then the nervous system can't handle it, it can get even damaged. So the nervous system work is quite complicated. But having supplements, doing the practices, having some guidance, step by step, over a few years of time, it can be re-healed, harmonized, and the rest of your life is lived in a new way. Okay, so since we're speaking about what is healthy and what is damaging, we realize already that, first of all, starting with food, that those who lack life force energy are not so good foods. Sugars and processed foods, meats, and alcohol, tobacco, and even skincare products, shampoos, and toothpaste and soaps and so forth. They're all also very full of toxins. So you should be aware of that. And in addition to that, you should take some supplements to detox your body, to keep a good balance. So awareness of food is important. That is one. Supplements. Yes, what are the supplements for the nervous system? There is an Ayurvedic supplement, ashwagandha, which is very, very good. It's called ashwagandha. It's Indian Ayurvedic supplement. Some of the two major brands that you can buy online or in a health store are Organic India or Himalaya. Then there is neem, which is really, really good for your nervous system and oxygenation and even for your skin. And then there is haritaki, which is very, very good for putting more oxygen into your brain, into your cells, and to boost your nervous system capacity. Superfoods like wheatgrass is really good, spirulina is really good. These would be, and of course, MMS is number one. It's the best of the best. MMS or CDS. So these are the top supplements that will help you to detoxify, heal your body, boost your energy, and increase your nervous system capacity. Exercises. 5 Tibetan rites. The physical exercises, 5 Tibetan rites, are the best. Yoga is a bit more complicated. You need a good yoga teacher and specific sequences of yoga. Kriya Yoga is the most advanced for the nervous system work. Kriya Yoga includes a lot of breath work, breathing exercises, a lot of pranayamas. So you can actually find videos on our New Humanity School YouTube channel of recommended daily practices. There is a section, recommended daily practices, on the New Humanity YouTube video channel. So there we have instructions for 5 Tibetan rites, for specific pranayamas, daily exercises to increase your consciousness, to open your energy, and to heal and reopen your nervous system. Meditations. What are the good meditations? Apart from breath work and the 5 Tibetan rites, these would be more specific meditations, which are life force energy meditations, which you can also find, or prana meditations, on the New Humanity School website and YouTube channel. As well as more advanced meditations are the ones that we did right now, working with the spine with electrical force. And so pranic meditations and electrical energy meditations are very, very effective for the nervous system. Your environment is very important, to have crystals, to live in a high vibrational space, to create a high vibrational space. Sun is important because it is the major source of pranic energy. Fresh air, oxygen, seaside is very full of positive, well, actually they're called negative ions, which are very, very healthy to your body. Yeah, so these are all the various ways of supporting, helping, increasing your nervous system capacity, life force energy, reopening your chakras, kundalini flow, and essentially increasing your consciousness and being able to sustain that consciousness. So this is how the science happens. And if you take small steps in the right direction, over a period of time, you will see miracles happening. Small steps in the right direction. And you can optimize yourself. You know, you do in the morning 5 Tibetan rites, some pranayama. In the afternoon, you can do some nervous system meditation. You start choosing your foods more carefully. You start taking some supplements day by day. And you will see that in a few weeks, in a month or so, it's going to be a tremendous results. This is how it happens. Many small steps in the right direction. And of course, when you need some help, I try to be available for private meetings, for private sessions, as well as retreats and satsangs and meetings, where I help and support with more complicated energy blockages, chakra blockages, subconscious system blockages, even deep nervous system blockages, and even trauma healing. So that requires a certain help to go deeper within oneself. But there's nothing impossible. There is nothing impossible. So many small steps in the right direction will make a tremendous change. And imagine that in 3 years, you know, you do all those right steps in the right direction. In 3 years, your whole life can change absolutely. Absolutely. In just 3 years, 5 years maximum, your whole life will change absolutely. You know, it's in 5 years, it is very, very possible to make any kind of person enlightened if they actually do the practices and if they actually do the job that it takes to be done. So it just has to be done. And these right steps will make that effect. Of course, you know, people have their lives and all their challenges and all their obstacles and difficulties. But some people are very dedicated and they have tremendous effects very fast. In a couple of months, in 6 months, in 1 year. Some people take longer. So the key rule is that many steps in the right direction will make a big change.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
In the Vedic sciences, they call this Shaya karma. And I have a very specific question. So that's a karma that you actually are coming in to this incarnation with. And how do you recognize the putridity of the smell of that karma? So Nityananda says that if there's a certain kind of smell or kind of an experience of conditioning that comes from that constantly, and if you recognize that, oh, that's that you already are on a good path. And then of course you have to kind of help yourself with all these ways you're saying, but it's good to actually just know that, oh, that's what it is, and then I recognize. Can you say something towards that?
Yes, that is called awareness.
Well, yes, it is awareness, but how do I know, oh, now, okay, so just negativity noticed.
Yes, and how do you know which is your imagination or which is the actual vision? Imagination, you know, these are the differences, the subtle differences that you need to train yourself to learn, to distinguish. So the same way imagination is I would say, now imagine a flying elephant.
Okay.
That is imagination. And now look around your room, well, that is actuality. You know, so there is a difference, and you distinguish the imaginative intention and the actual vision or the actual energy being felt. So the same way when awareness grows, you start recognizing the subtle differences. And these subtle differences then start revealing themselves, which is which. Which one is what you call karmic, or I could call conditioned pattern, and which comes perhaps even from past lives, and which one is maybe just a more recent one, just picked up somewhere from someone. So you start recognizing these subtle differences, so through awareness. So awareness and recognition of various qualities, and essentially every energy has a certain quality, a certain signature, a certain pattern, a certain way. So you need to start developing a greater awareness, a greater sensitivity of the differences, of various patterns, energies, thoughts, cycles, and feelings, to gain the knowledge, intelligence of those differences. And then, yes, you can easily, as you referred, you can easily smell which one is karmic of a past life and which one is just more recent one from somewhere, and it has no deep effect.
Yeah. And I can imagine that the ones that we come in with cause our new traumas, usually those deeper ones. it can
Well, the
happen.
stronger your nervous system, the more resilient from traumas it will be.
Yeah.
So, for example, you know, if you come to a very noisy environment, you can even meditate there, you know,
Yeah.
and then bring an average human person and ask them to experience peace. They will say it's impossible,
Yeah.
you know, because their nervous system is triggered so much.
Mm-hmm.
So as your nervous system opens and increases its capacity, then less and less things trigger you. It just flows through.
Yeah. Mm. Thank you. Good.
Okay, very well, very well. So we have time for one more question. Feel free to ask. Nervous system, as I will exemplify, it is a system. It is a system, it is a very intelligent system if you know how to work with it, or you can receive help to work with it. And this system is one of the key systems for sustaining enlightenment, for sustaining full consciousness, awakened state of being. It is a system, of course. I can see the nervous system like an X-ray. I can see how it's functioning. I can scan through it. I can see the blockages and help to open them as soon as one is ready to open them. And then we can increase the voltage, see how your system responds to that, and then we see what else is blocking the ability to sustain higher voltage. It is a system, and electrical, we could say system. Very complicated, but it's possible to know it very well. And then the nervous system, of course, connects with all meridians, and then it distributes all the pranic energy throughout. It connects with chakras, it connects with kundalini, it connects with all the nadis, it connects with all energy senses. There is a complete connectedness, as above, so below, as below, so above. You know, when you go deeply into your nervous system, you can even see galaxies. You can even experience cosmic events taking place. You can even travel through your nervous system, to have cosmic travels, because everything is connected. All is connected. It's very amazing how it all works. So from very scientific to very metaphysical, but it is a higher science. What is metaphysics? Metaphysics is a higher, more intelligent science which has not yet been discovered by the current science. So that's why they call it metaphysics, because they don't understand it yet. It's all actually very scientific. The whole universe is scientific. There's nothing spiritual, it's all scientific if one realizes how it works. Only consciousness itself is not scientific. Only consciousness itself. Because that is the source of the universe, of all the energies, of the way they work, of the way that everything is, the way that everything works. So the consciousness is the source.